I think you and I share something very special. There's something I want maybe more than you do.
What? What do you mean?
I don't want to talk about that subject.
You don't understand how you're coming across.
I know, I'm a guy.
Hey, you're just kind of being a bit of a pig right now.
Where did the tension between Robyn and Kody really begin? For years, viewers have watched the Brown family navigate the labyrinth of plural marriage, public scrutiny, and personal conflict, all while presenting a polished image on TLC. We've seen the laughter, the tears, and the orchestrated family events that played out like scenes from a scripted drama, but behind the cameras, tensions were simmering. Robyn, usually the peacemaker and friend who is always backing Kody's choices, has only recently let down a bombshell that is rattling the sister wives' family's foundation. In an honest moment that was broadcast during one of the most recent episodes, she accused Kody of being, in her estimation, a little bit of a pig. These 5 words, innocuous in their phrasing but incendiary in their connotation, have everyone who watches Sister Wives wondering everything they ever did about the family dynamics. What is being a little bit of a pig in the Sister Wives universe? Is it economic mismanagement, emotional abandonment, or something more visceral and personal failure to show the women who have given their lives to him respect? To properly appreciate the seriousness of Robyn's charge, we must turn back the clock to the events that culminated in this meeting. It wasn't a one-off, it had been years in the making, a cumulative frustration, disappointment, and a feeling that she was not being recognized for her contributions to the family. Robyn's remark is not a television joke. It is a statement of discontent with a patriarch who, on the surface, had the story, the finances, and the emotional life of the family in his hands. The words, "a bit of a pig," are appealing to audiences because they're both relatable and incendiary. They create a rich visual of Kody's actions as they appear to a viewer through Robyn's perspective, actions that have been quietly simmering in the background for years. And for the first time ever, a dominant figure within the family has spoken its name, shared it for all to hear, and pushed against the norms. Before we get into the specifics of what led to this tirade, let's establish the backdrop. The Browns exist in a reality where looks are everything, where reality television stardom and the demands of a multi-wife home meet real-world feelings and fiscal obligations. Every argument, every disagreement, every private moment has the potential to become public fodder. Robyn's accusation is explosive, not just because it is true, insiders say, but because it reveals fissures in a family that has lovingly maintained a united and harmonious public image for more than a decade. Join us as we delve into the backstory of Robyn's accusation, the events leading up to it, and the repercussions that are rocking the Sister Wives community to its foundations. What you're about to hear isn't just gossip. It's an inside look at a family unraveling from the inside, a patriarch being called to account, and a wife finally speaking her truth. The tension didn't happen overnight. Behind the polished footage and scripted family events, Robyn had been observing Kody's behavior for years, quietly processing a growing sense of frustration. In one especially revealing moment from a recent show, she is seen confronting a mundane household chore, a family responsibility that Kody was expected to manage. Cooperation was replaced with negligence, dismissal, and a habit of deflecting that Robyn had learned to anticipate. Fans viewing the program may have perceived this as a small disagreement, merely another family spat. But behind the scenes, insiders tell us moments such as these were anything but isolated. Robyn had been building up little resentments that over time bred a fundamental sense of grievance. She wasn't merely upset over chores or bungled tasks. She was dealing with years of feeling relegated to the sidelines in a family where Kody's decisions too often went unchallenged. One of the pivotal moments that Robyn alludes to in her frank comment is the financial planning for the family's several homes. Kody's management of the family finances, particularly big expenses without consultation, has been a thorn in her side for a long time. In a number of episodes, Robyn is getting to raise concerns over budgets, but her protests are dismissed on a regular basis. To her, this was never about the money. It was respect, recognition, and having a say in a family setup where the decisions impacted all parties involved. The description of her as a bit of a pig comes not only from fiscal mismanagement but also from an entrenched behavioral pattern. Audiences might remember moments when Kody's self-interest appeared to trump the greater good of the family. When his wants took priority over everyone else's. Robyn, who so frequently has played the role of peacemaker and mediator, finally lost her cool. Her public statement is a distillation of years' worth of bottled anger. A frank, uncensored observation that shocked viewers, who were used to seeing her keep calm and carry on. In addition to money, Robyn's rebuke involves emotional responsibility. Off camera, Kody's relationships with his wives are a good deal more complicated than what audiences witness on television. During scenes intended to illustrate family harmony, Robyn saw a persistent pattern of condescension, in which Kody didn't actively address her issues or those of the other wives. Her comment is not an insult. It is a comment on the emotional neglect she has experienced. By speaking up for the first time, Robyn changes things. Throughout years of her being in charge, Kody held a place of dominance, controlling the storyline on and off screen. Robyn's statement shatters that order, informing viewers and family members in turn that she is no longer going to accept behavior she deems disrespectful or selfish. The effect of the statement goes on to cascade outside the episode itself, provoking discussions all over social media, fan forums, and comment pages. The moment that set off headlines didn't take place in a showdown or anything, rather, it resulted from a seemingly ordinary family gathering captured on camera. The family was debating weekend activities, something that may seem mundane to audiences, but had greater consequences in terms of how decisions and responsibilities were shared between the wives. Kody, as usual, started laying out his desired plan, giving little regard to suggestions from the other wives. Robyn, who had been patiently listening, finally cut in. Her voice was soothing yet firm, with a gravity that demanded prompt attention. "Kody, you can be such a pig sometimes," she told him. Alone, the remark would have been unkind, but things are always in context. Robyn's words summed up years of observation. The selfishness, lack of consideration for responsibility within the shared union, and quiet emotional manipulation that had characterized her time in the marriage. Live viewers responded in real time, with some in shock, others with a nod of understanding. Social media went wild with screenshots, GIFs, and clips of the line, making it one of the most talked about moments of the season. What is noteworthy about this specific moment is how it differs from past criticisms. Robyn didn't just vent about one thing, she gave a statement that struck a chord with a larger truth, something that many had suspected but never heard said outright. It was raw, unedited, and unmistakably human, a far cry from the slick drama, free stories the show too often champions. Kody's response was just as telling. For the first time in countless episodes, he seemed briefly stunned. His characteristic equanimity deserted him for a moment, replaced by a smattering of defensiveness and annoyance. Audience members could almost watch his inner debate. Should he write off the remark as a joke, or should he take it seriously? His answer, calm but restrained, highlighted that Robyn's statement had struck a chord. Through this scene, the wider power dynamics of the show are also made clear. Kody has traditionally dictated the narrative, positioning himself as family decision maker and moral guide. Robyn's comment, albeit relaxed in tone, undermined that role. By calling him a bit of a pig, she revealed a weakness which audiences had long suspected, but had seldom seen openly admitted. It is a fairly unusual instant in which reality and commentary collide in a manner that appears raw and honest. A short while after the show had gone on air, social media erupted. Fans filled Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit with reactions from shock to delight. Memes were shared with Kody looking shocked in one row and Robyn's quote, with captions playing up his pig-like behaviors. The comment was a trending topic in the comments section, even finding its way to entertainment news blogs that picked it up as a highlight of the season. It is interesting to see how the fan base was divided. Some people rooted for Robyn, applauding her for standing up at last and voicing frustrations many had assumed, but not heard expressed. Posts such as, "She finally spoke up and said what we were all thinking," and "Kody's been a pig for years," cluttered social media timelines. Fans praised her for having the guts, labeling her statement as the turning point in the debate surrounding fairness, respect, and equality of the family relationship. Die-hard Kody fans tried to play down the statement, calling it a joke between friends instead of a real criticism. "It is Robyn being dramatic," another argued, while someone else countered, "Kody didn't intend to mean anything by it, he is just that way." These opposing views underscored the polarizing tendency of reality television storytelling. Something that might seem trivial within the day, today narrative can be blown up into a big discussion point when framed on television. The comment caused ripples outside of social media as well. Blogs and entertainment news sites examined the moment at length what it said about the long-standing family dynamics. Some articles portrayed it as a turning point for Robyn's character development, that she was finally steaming ahead into a more assertive, independent place, refusing to be outdone anymore. Others wondered about the possible repercussions on Kody, wondering if his typical control of the family story was starting to slip. Critics pointed out that this type of blunt statement was not common on the show. Tensions may always have been percolating under the surface, but most disagreements were either condensed or presented in a form that made them acceptable to viewers. Robyn's statement, however, shattered that template. It was impromptu, blunt, and unmistakably human, a fleeting glimpse at the actual emotions and irritations behind the scripted television production. This was the precursor to wider discussion among fans and critics. Was this a fluke, or the start of a larger change in the way Robyn engages with Kody and the family? This could represent a turning point for Kody's control over family choices and narrative. These questions sparked countless arguments, guaranteeing that the episode, and Robyn's remark, would continue to be a water-cooler moment for weeks to come. In the background, Kody's response differed significantly from the on-screen reaction. Behind-the-scenes footage and insider accounts tell us he first attempted to blow off Robyn's remark as a joke, trying to dismiss it as a harmless comment. But family insiders say he was visibly agitated, pacing back and forth, muttering to himself about being wrongly represented. Kody's behavior is typical of another recurring pattern on the show: tension between upholding his persona as patriarch of the family and facing backlash from his wives. Though on camera he usually adopts a reserved, measured tone, off-camera discord often runs high, exposing flashes of weakness and irritation that fans never get to see. This tension between the public image and back-room reality is only part of what holds television viewers hooked year after year. Robyn, on the other hand, appeared to expect his discomfort. Insiders and friends say she had mentally braced herself for any resistance, refusing to allow Kody's reaction to scare her off. Her assurance seemed to be solidified subsequent to the first broadcast, as she started interacting with the fans online and giving interviews that elaborated further on her emotions. During these interviews, she reiterates that her remark was not merely regarding Kody's lifestyle, but a general comment on respect and equality in the family setup. Significantly, Kody's move to dampen the issue may have given it more publicity than it could have otherwise received. The contrast between his private discomfort and his on-screen attempts at humor created a sense of tension that fans found compelling. This tension became fodder for discussion forums, reaction videos, and even meme culture, further cementing the moment as one of the most talked-about scenes of the season. As conversations around the comment grew, production staff reportedly began strategizing about how to handle the narrative in future episodes. Editors pondered how they were going to reconcile Robyn's frank personality with Kody's responses and keep people watching while keeping the storyline intact. Undefined decisions in the cutting room would ultimately determine how audiences interpreted the exchange, illustrating the complex interplay between reality and production in influencing public opinion. Fan responses to Robyn's statement were immediate and passionate. Social media exploded with comments, ranging from commendation of her boldness to condemnation of what others saw as unwarranted confrontation. Hashtags such as #Robyn calls out Kody and #Sister Wives drama topped lists for days, producing thousands of comments that broke down every aspect of the exchange. Many credited Robyn for standing up for herself, seeing her statement as a long-awaited recognition of Kody's actions. They contended that the comment expressed underlying frustrations that had been building for years, noting problems with respect, justice, and responsibility in the family structure. Discussion threads revealed that viewers identified with her position, comparing incidents from within their own relationships and families. Some others who support Kody countered that Robyn's comment was out of line and disrespectful. They argued back and forth about whether broadcasting personal complaints on television was right, and some even dared to say that the editing had probably amplified the tension for maximum drama. This polarization in the fandom reflected the larger arguments that have shadowed the Brown family for decades. Arguments about loyalty, justice, and the multifaceted power dynamics of a polygamous family, reaction channels and commentary streams added fuel to the debate. Prolific producers dismantled the video frame by frame, observing body language, tone of voice, and circumstantial evidence to decide who won the interaction. Most speculated that Robyn's remark could be an indicator of a change in family dynamics, portending future altercations or shifts in alliances amongst the wives. Even more surprisingly, the remark instigated larger discussions of gender roles and expectations in polygamous families. Commentators and fans argued back and forth about whether Kody's actions were evidence of a pattern of entitlement, and if Robyn's readiness to call out Kody was a sign of increasing resistance to traditional power dynamics. This wider cultural discourse added nuances to what may have otherwise been seen as a straightforward on-screen comment, illustrating how reality television moments can have waves of effects far beyond television. Lastly, viewership of the episode wasn't confined to online discourse. Streaming analytics showed a significant surge in viewership after the episode aired, indicating that Robyn's remark attracted both loyal fans and inadvertent viewers interested in the controversy. Essentially, one line of dialogue served as a vehicle for discussion, ratings, and even broader cultural discourse. Outside of social media, the ripple impact of Robyn's remark spilled over to fan sites and private discussion groups. Many viewers dissected the remark line by line, debating whether it was a playful jab, a genuine critique, or a calculated move to assert her authority within the family. Some argued that Robyn's statement reflected long-standing frustrations, while others insisted it was simply her personality shining through, a mixture of boldness and wit that keeps the show compelling. Interestingly, discussions often veered toward broader social themes. Doubters weighed in on the power dynamics of polygamous families, noting how women's traditional roles are disrupted when one wife criticizes her husband on camera. Commentators on mainstream reality television websites posited that Robyn's comment could be symbolic of changing power dynamics within the Brown family, where wives feel more empowered to speak their minds, even if this means conflict. Kody, Faye. Footage of his response, whether subtly grimacing or nervously laughing, was posted on platforms, sometimes with comedic commentary. Memes went around that set the moment as a humorous conflict of egos, making the exchange a pop culture landmark. Even some of the fans began labeling it as a defining sister-wives moment, which reignited interest in previous episodes in which the same tensions had emerged. Insiders at the production company said that these are moments of gold for reality television. They are moments that demonstrate a fine balance between staged narration and real interpersonal conflict. Robyn's unscripted line was not part of the season's plan, but it flowed perfectly into the season's narrative arc, noting the day-to-day surprise of family life while reaffirming the series' constant themes of loyalty, authority, and personal agency. Apart from fan analysis, media sources caught wind of the exchange. Entertainment news websites reported on the exchange with stories placing emphasis on the comment, with headlines listing Robyn's outspokenness as well as Kody's apparent discomfort. These tales raised thousands of comments and shares, moving the conversation well past the show's direct viewers. The overlap between reality television melodrama and mainstream media reporting made the scene even more powerful, securing it in memories for years to come. Experts in family dynamics and reality television commented on Robyn's remark, providing analysis that transcended the on-the-spot drama. Psychologists pointed out that such comments frequently function as a way of coping when, in high-stress, high-exposure family dynamics. By criticizing Kody, Robyn was perhaps regaining a measure of control, exercising a subtle claim on how things are seen in a home where decisions are mutual but may be dominated by one person. Existing cast members, talking anonymously, painted scenes like this as pressure points, which inevitably arise after lots of years living under the lens of cameras. They described how the tension isn't fabricated, it is something that develops over time and is fueled by the day-to-day attention of both the media and fans. In that regard, Robyn's remark was more a symptom of deeper-seated resentment than a one-off. It was a culmination of frequent irritations, small arguments, and the occasional personality conflict. Reality television editors as well have a significant impact on how such a moment is perceived, By deciding what footage to feature, how scenes would be cut together, and whose reactions to highlight, they are able to take a spontaneous comment and turn it into a season changer. With Robyn, the editors let the tension breathe on camera and gave audience members sufficient background to appreciate her viewpoint as well as Kody's reaction. The effect is one of raw, unscripted, feeling moments that were nonetheless impeccably timed for maximum dramatic effect. Social media took the effect to the next power. Tweets and posts picked apart Robyn's statement, frequently alongside screenshots, GIFs, and fan reactions. The comment trended on various platforms as people debated polygamy, relationships, and reality showed genuineness. Robyn had defenders who hailed her for being truthful, but others went after her methodology, claiming public utterances of this sort may fuel interpersonal conflict. At the same time, Kody's reaction, or non-reaction, was subject to equal dissection. Experts pointed out that his non-confrontational style of being may be a strategic option, demonstrating either patience, resignation, or the awareness that the show lives on controversy. By not speaking back, Kody permitted the moment to develop organically, allowing space for spectators to determine the dynamics themselves. As the conversation expanded, it became obvious that this one comment contained levels of meaning, an individual declaration, a symbol of long-standing tensions within the family, and an instance of effective reality television narrative. It showed the potency of language and timing, the fine balancing act between performance and authenticity, and how a single line can ring out far beyond its initial context. Social media, forums, and YouTube comment sections were subsequently swamped with fan reaction in the days that followed the episode. Memes, reaction videos, and long analysis threads rapidly proliferated. Most viewers sympathized with Robyn, recognizing that her blunt statement provided a glimpse of the tensions that reality television producers tried to smooth over. Some others condemned Robyn, saying that describing Kody as a bit of a pig was too harsh even for television. Influencers on reality television started taking apart the moment frame by frame. Others commented on Robyn's body language and tone, pointing out small signs of frustration that starkly contrasted with the calm facade she normally maintains. Others reflected on Kody's response, proposing that his apparent discomfort hinted at more complex problems with the family dynamic. These interpretations were posted broadly, sometimes in conjunction with timestamps, GIFs, and side comparisons to prior episodes, which provided viewers with a sense of continuity and context. The news media covered the story as well. Entertainment venues printed stories with sensational headlines like, "Robyn calls out Kody in shocking sister wives moment," or "Is Kody in hot water?" Robyn's remark sparks debate. Television bloggers pondered whether this was staged for the sake of drama or an actual cry of frustration. Others believed the exchange was a season-defining moment, predicting that Robyn would set the tone for future moments on camera. At the same time, Robyn remained brief in her comments on social media. Her responses were diplomatic, framing honesty without quite crossing the line of offending everyone. Realizing viewers were passionate with an equilibrium she kept intact, fans analyzed every statement, reading between lines for hints of regret, defiance, or vindication. Each evasive emoji or wording was scrutinized as if it were an extension of the television drama. Podcasts about sister wives also entered the fray. Podcasters replayed the clip repeatedly, dissecting the context, timing, and meaning. Some posited that Robyn's comment was an outburst of pent-up frustration, while others hypothesized it might be a strategic attempt to influence the public perception. Reality television analysts stressed in interviews that those moments can have a dramatic impact on the story arc of a show and create new alliances and change sympathies by the audience. By week's end, discussion had moved from one isolated remark to greater debate about family structure, reality television veracity, and individual issues of fame. The comment became a filter by which audiences analyzed both individual personalities and the overall family dynamic, proving that an individual line can have a long-term influence within the world of reality television. In the week following Robyn's comment on the show, the behavior of Kody on camera seemed to change. Whereas before he had carried himself with a self-assured, at times commanding air, the bit of a pig comment appeared to stick in his interactions. Subtle movements, such as avoiding eye contact or hesitating before answering, were noticed by eagle-eyed viewers and soon analyzed in online forums. Fans questioned whether Kody's responses were genuine embarrassment, annoyance, or a mix of both. Family scenes started to have a more strained undertone. In one of the dinner scenes, Kody's words were tightly clipped, and Robyn's look implied a subdued satisfaction, as if she had spoken something that could not be ignored. The editing of the show chose to highlight such micro moments, switching between Kody's uncomfortable body language and Robyn's tightly reined composure to create a stark contrast that increased viewer interest. In the meantime, Meri, Janelle, and Christine's faces also became a talking point. Analysts and viewers wondered if they would feel justified, anxious, or angry with the new tension. Some opined that Robyn's comment could motivate them to open up more, possibly creating tension or alignments. Others looked on it as a reconciliation chance, thinking that straight talking could lead to true understanding among the family members. Social media exaggerated every slight advancement. Moments of Kody's answers and Robyn's reactions were posted thousands of times with commentary and fan speculation. Instagram Reels, TikTok edits, and YouTube reaction videos broke down each second, pinpointing not only the words but also the body language, a sigh, a shrug, a smirk, or a glance. They broke down these moments and examined them for clues about the real state of family affairs behind the scenes. They also appeared to see the potential of the moment. Later episodes featured more extensive scenes of the aftermath, dwelling on conversations and choices that indicated increasing tension. By cleverly framing the dialogue around this defining comment, the show built a narrative that was both spontaneous and heavily significant, keeping viewers engrossed in the changing dynamics. As the week went on, public debate shifted away from discussing the insult itself and instead its effect. Experts and viewers argued whether Robyn's willingness to speak candidly marked the beginning of a shift in the season, or if it was a momentary flash magnified by editing and commentary. Either way, it had made it one of the most talked about exchanges in the season, carrying on conversations past ordinary fan realms into mainstream entertainment reports. Off camera, tensions only brewed. Sources said that Robyn's remark was not just a spontaneous outburst, it was months of latent frustration finally erupting. While Kody had long held sway over home decisions, Robyn had been increasingly assertive, and this comment was in some measure an exercise of her voice. In an open confession during a confessional interview, Robyn explained more about how she felt. She acknowledged that the wording may have been harsh, but summed up her feelings about some of the habits and behaviors she had noticed over time. Her tone was stern but interwoven with a touch of humor, indicating this was not intended to be a personal affront, but a biting critique of dynamics that she felt needed to be recognized. Kody, in contrast, was somewhat subdued during his confessional moments. He pondered the remark with a blend of defensiveness and self-reflection. Others perceived this as humility, while others theorized it was Kody strategizing about how to respond in public without seeming to be weak. The editing enhanced these moments, building anticipation and enabling viewers to read between the lines, interpreting each gesture and smile. The ripple effect included the other wives too. Christine, Janelle, and Meri all had their own observations, diplomatically remarking on the family dynamics and the changing role of Robyn as a stronger voice. Their quotes, edited with sensitivity to point out both concurrence and soft critique, pressed the point that Robyn's comments were not in a vacuum, but as part of an extensive discussion regarding justice, accountability, and respect for one another in the family. Online discussion exploded. Traces of Robyn's comment and Kody's responses went viral on all platforms. Hashtags commemorating the moment trended on Twitter and Instagram, with fan pages making compilations, memes, and commentary threads analyzing the moment. Influencers and pop culture pundits chimed in, rendering a line of dialogue into an open conversation about family life, gender roles, and navigating the frustration of a multi-spouse home. Producers cashed in on the buzz. By self-consciously presenting the comment and its repercussions in later episodes, the series developed a narrative trajectory that was both organic and extremely compelling. Fans were invited into the emotional nuance, observing the dynamic between personalities as it played out in real time, as well as guessing about what would happen next behind doors. This moment, almost insignificant on its own, started to define the direction of the season. It underscored not only interpersonal stress, but also how one mere statement could have an effect on relationships, editing decisions, and reader response, paving the way for further complications and revelations. In the weeks that followed Robyn's remark, all the tensions between her and Kody started to show in more subtle ways. Though the cameras did record some overt moments, much of the communication was more subtle, small movements, sidelong glances, and moments of tension that said more than words. Robyn, growing more cognizant of her place in the family hierarchy, started to push back more during domestic conversation, frequently directing discussions in directions that undermined Kody's typical dominance. There was a revealing interchange caught during a scene involving a family dinner. Kody tried to impose a family rule, but Robyn interrupted him serenely, suggesting a different tack that was more based on fairness and pragmatics. The interaction, while courteous, had an undertone of challenge that Kody did not appear to be ready to deflect. Audiences caught his pause, reading it as a fissure in his normally authoritative presence. Around them, the other wives grappled with the changing dynamic. Christine and Janelle seemed quietly supportive of Robyn's assertiveness, usually agreeing with a nod or echoing her comments with their own observations. Meri, true to form, was more impartial, sometimes worrying that growing conflict would affect the children or the family's reputation. These reactions, all caught by the show's editing crew, contributed to an account of increasing empowerment for Robyn, and also served to outline Kody's difficulty in adjusting. In confessionals, Robyn spoke bluntly about her motivations. She stated that she did not try to belittle Kody, but instead sought to call out behavior that she felt had been left unspoken for far too long. She chose her words carefully, caught between frustration and the desire for beneficial change. Through this realization, audiences were able to identify with her stance, turning what might have appeared to be a sharp personal rebuke into something more of a general discussion of fairness and respect within the family. Kody, on the other hand, employed his confessionals to grapple with the consequences of her statement. He acknowledged the difficulty of holding power in a household with several powerful personalities, and also introspected about his own nature. Some parts depicted a man actually questioning his purpose, whereas others became defensive, depicting the commotion of emotions he was dealing with. The duality was a key point of interest among audiences, who discussed endlessly in forums about Kody's response and leadership approach. The online debate got heated. Clips of Robyn's assertiveness and Kody's reactions were shared widely, sparking debates about leadership, respect, and communication in blended or non-traditional families. Fan theories about future confrontations began circulating, adding another layer of anticipation and excitement around the unfolding season. This sequence of events cemented Robyn's emerging narrative arc as someone willing to challenge the status quo, creating tension and drama that producers leveraged in editing to maintain suspense. Each look, each interruption, and each confession fell within a meticulously crafted narrative, drawing viewers week after week. While Robyn gained confidence, Kody knew that merely asserting himself was no longer sufficient. Moments where he tried to rebalance his methods, combining diplomacy with subtle reminders of his leadership position, were caught on the show. In one really dramatic moment, Kody proposed a revised family scheduling plan, only to be brusquely but politely rebuffed by Robyn, who suggested a compromise that was more in everyone's interest. This was a turning point, although it seemed trivial at the time. Robyn's proposal was not only sensible, it incidentally exposed Kody's inflexibility. The camera held on his face, catching a blend of shock and annoyance. In confessional interviews, Kody confessed to being frustrated, but also admitted that Robyn had something valid to say. This double response gave the viewers a multifaceted description of his leadership style, controlling yet able to reflect, although on occasions begrudgingly so. Meanwhile, the children's responses were no less insightful. The older children, sensing the strain between their parents, gradually began to side with Robyn's method in some situations, while the youngest children appeared mostly keen observers, soaking up family dynamics. These responses were highlighted by the show's editors through intercuts with Robyn and Kody's talking head commentary, building a multi-dimensional narrative around the dynamics of adult choice, and the effect on family life. Facebook posts and Twitter feeds overflowed with previews of these moments. Fans applauded Robyn's assertiveness, commonly presenting it as a long overdue pushback against Kody's decision. Making tendencies, memes and short videos popped up, highlighting the bit of a pig line and the wider theme of home power struggles. These were the moments that served as touch points for conversation regarding fairness, respect, and communication in complicated family dynamics. Boosting participation on multiple platforms, producers also leveraged the drama in confessionals by writing in parallel narratives that contrasted Kody's internal struggle with Robyn's boldness. This allowed viewers to hear both sides of the narrative, and it generated suspense and investment in every confrontation's conclusion. It wasn't all drama for the sake of entertainment. It was a painstakingly crafted emotional ride that had fans tuning in week after week. In this stage of the season, it was apparent that the dynamic of power was changing. Robyn was no longer merely responding to Kody's actions. She was leading discussions, making things happen, and redefining her position within the family. The show positioned her as a voice of fairness and reason, frequently playing off the tension between her pragmatic style and Kody's more inflexible approach. As the season hurtled toward its conclusion, Robyn's assertiveness came to a boiling point. During one of the series' most memorable installments, the family convened to discuss a significant financial choice, and Robyn held nothing back. She specifically called out Kody's method, repeating her now infamous statement that he could be a bit of a pig where fairness and consideration were concerned. The camera recorded Kody's response in close-up, embarrassment, defensiveness, and begrudging agreement that he had much to learn. This fight was not really about money or rules around the house. It represented a wider change in family dynamics. Robyn had worked to create space for her voice to be heard, proving that power in the family could be shared instead of being centralized. The other wives' responses were revealing. Some nodded in hushed consensus, others shared knowing looks, indicative of the undertone of tension and the slow shift in power within the home. The episode also was suggestive of Kody's efforts at adjusting. In confessionals, he confessed that he was learning to be a better listener, and that Robyn's viewpoints tended to provide solutions he hadn't thought of. This humanizing moment provided viewers with a sense of closure, showing that even long-standing patterns could evolve with effort and awareness. Producers intercut these family scenes with social media reactions, fan commentary, and short flashbacks to earlier conflicts, creating a layered narrative that reinforced Robyn's journey from reactive wife to assertive family leader. The editing highlighted the emotional stakes, making sure that all viewers experienced the gravity of the confrontation and its weight in the show context. When the credits rolled, viewers were left with an indelible memory. Robyn's insistence on speaking her truth had not only called out Kody, but also catalyzed deeper discussions about respect, fairness, and communication in multi-layered family dynamics. Viewers flocked to social media, discussing, defending, and dissecting the drama, making the episode one of the most discussed of the past few seasons. Synopsis: in short, this season of Sister Wives masterfully painted the changing dynamic between Robyn and Kody, mixing individual development, family friction, and social commentary into an engaging narrative. Robyn's brashness and Kody's slow, burning self-examination provided a narrative arc that was at once dramatic and resonant, keeping viewers invested, emotionally attached, and anticipating the next season's twists. The bit of a pig remark wasn't merely a figure of speech. It was a metonym for transformation, responsibility, and the strength of speaking up in even the most complex family configurations.